Wizzy Wizards, and welcome back to the Pursuit of Happiness with me, Pigtail Girl, your friend and fellow wizard. And as you all know, I am living back in the UK, in the Isle of Man, and we have just been having a huge storm over here. You may have heard about it. And yeah, the last 2 days, the roads were closed and the winds were very high. And I know people keep talking about geoengineering and all that stuff. But one thing a lot of people don't take into account are the huge timeline reboots we've been going through. So I'm just going to show you right now an example of the Schumann's resonance chart and how you know when we're going through a timeline reboot. It looks like this. You will see that there are sections that are just black and blocked out. Sometimes they can be thin, sometimes they can be larger chunks. Now, as taught by Starfire Tor, the woman who discovered the Mandela effect, the time shift effect, and has dedicated her life to the science of the timeline and the core matrix. The core matrix, you might think of it like the brain, the Akashic record, some people call it, that which is in charge of all of the timelines and streaming all of the timelines, is also in charge of editing the timeline and timeline reboots. And when we have a timeline reboot, what this means is there was a planet ending event or something very dramatic. Usually it's a planet ending event. It can be from an asteroid, it can be from a nuclear weapon, or from some other disaster. When there's a planet ending event, so when the wars start to kick off and people push us to the brink of using the nukes get used. That's what we're going through now. And then you have a timeline reboot because the core matrix doesn't want the timeline to end. So it cuts that bit out. It's streaming all these alternative timelines. When it finds a good one, it takes it like a video editing software, puts that bit of timeline into the dominant timeline, and then you get sent back and then you stream again and you live the better outcome of the timeline. And this is why I support Donald Trump, because when Donald Trump comes into power, the world is stabilized and we don't head into those world-ending nuclear events. All we go into is years of media madness and blah, blah, blah. But it's a lot better than facing nuclear world-ending events. So basically, he stabilizes the timeline, which is why he keeps getting edited back in and keeps somehow, against all odds, managing to claw his way back into the White House. Whether you agree with all the little nuances of what he does, to me, it's neither here nor there. The fact is, we're still here. So that's why he is beneficial. Doesn't matter what you think of him. That's what the timeline keeps showing. And because me and Starfire follow all the timeline reboots and we can see how world events keep triggering them, we're able to see, you know, who and what is good for the timeline by how many edits it has to keep doing and who is not. So when the minions get in, you find a lot of timeline edits go on, a lot of solar flares start happening. The Schumann's resonance chart goes mad because it's really picking up all of the frequencies of the timeline and the timeline edits. And if you want to know more about this, you can join the Telegram group, which I run on behalf of Starfire Tour, where I share a lot of her work, all her posts. You can watch the Time Chronicles, where we try to cover as much of that as we can. Start at number 1, listen all the way through. You'll get to understand Starfire Tour a bit more, who she is, why she knows what she knows and how she knows it. And so the big blanks in the Schumann resonance is a timeline reboot. Now, why I'm mentioning this again, I was going back to the geoengineering with the weather, is when there's a nuclear blast that's a world-ending event, say a few nukes go off, because energy, it can't be got rid of. You know, energy is always there. It's a constant. It doesn't get created. It doesn't get destroyed. It merely changes its form into other things. So when there's been a world-ending event, there's still all this energy that has to be dispersed after the timeline reboot. It finds ways to disperse the energy without causing too much catastrophe. So transforming it into earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, crazy storms that just come out of nowhere, tsunamis, All of those things will occur after you see the blackout sections on the Schumann's resonance. Now, I like to teach these principles to people because these are things you can follow yourself. And especially if you join the Telegram groups, you'll understand what each bit of the Schumann resonance chart is talking about, how to read it, and then how you can see with your own eyes when there's a timeline reboot, what's been going on in the world just before it, what it looks like on the Schumann resonance. And then you can watch out for those, you know, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes going off, mad freak storms, something high energy, crazy winds, crazy weather. And this is it dispersing the world ending event energy. So that's something that's repeatable. You can always observe it. So it's not just opinion, it's a fact because it's something you can observe. Whether it's the whole truth of everything, we're always still learning about the timeline and the science of it and discovering new things as it goes along. But this is something you see every single time. So it's a repeatable sequence of events. So again, if you're interested in learning more about this, you can join the Telegram group. I'll put it in the description box below and you can get in the know about that. And something else I wanted to mention today, apart from the crazy weather and the timeline reboots we've been going through, is I've seen people talking about how white people don't have any culture, right? Being a white person, I thought I'd like to say a few things on this because, you know, I've thought about it myself. What is our culture really? Because actually our culture is quite the reverse of how the media at this time tries to portray us, and is actually a clue as to why they're trying to flip the script against us at this time. Okay, and it's because really when you look at white people, when you look at slavery, enslavement, right, that goes back, the earliest record of slavery was during the Sumerian and Mesopotamia time. So already the first cultures that we have on record, because of course they were Anunnaki cultures, it was after the invasion when Elohim had arrived and taken over, the Anunnaki, also known as the Elohim. These negative reptilians that came in and gave us religions and writing, so we could write down their false history and their propaganda, also gave us slavery. And slavery wasn't invented by white people. It was a global phenomenon that was taking place all around the world. And we had monarchies, we had serfdoms, we had enslavement, we had very strict religions. We had all of these things that were keeping humans locked in boxes. And so the culture of the white man, the white woman, is a freedom fighter. We fight against the regime. That's our culture. We fight for freedom. We actually are the ones that ended slavery. I'm not saying there weren't other groups involved standing up for their rights too, but we were calling out in England to end slavery, the abolishment of slavery. There were white people in America calling out for the abolishment of slavery. In America, they were writing the Bill of Rights to give rights to every man, woman, and child as equals. They were getting rid of monarchy. You know, they were opening up religion. So you didn't just have to be this. Because remember, in the old days, by law, you had to go to the church that your country was under. In many places, like in England, the king said you were Catholic, everyone was Catholic, and that was it. You didn't get a choice in the matter, and you had to have papers to go, you know, anywhere. And if you were lucky, if you were allowed to get money and own anything. So the white man has fought against this, even though there are many white minions who have fought, you know, been involved with it. The true spirit of the white person is the freedom fighter. We are the carriers of the flame of freedom. We want liberty, we want democracy, we want rights. We're the ones that demand our rights. That's why they're trying to get those 5 nations right now and make it like now suddenly everyone's against, you know, white men, white privilege, the privilege that we fought for, the privilege that we wanted to give to everyone, the privilege for every man, woman, and child, no matter what their creed, race, color, skin was, or what their birthplace was in society, the right to freedom, freedom of speech, freedom, you know, in America to bear arms, not so much over here. But you see what I mean? We are in our hearts freedom fighters, and we are the people who have done the most to dismantle the matrix of the slavery, the matrix of the monarchy hold, of the religious hold. That's our culture. And that's why they don't like us right now, because what they're trying to do is the opposite of that. So I hope that clears that up for anyone who thinks that white people, we don't have any culture. You should actually learn some real history to see what white people have done for this world and how we've fought for the rights of everyone. And we're very, very, that's why we've been so tolerant and we've got such a multicultural countries that can obviously then be used against us as a Trojan horse. And then we can be made to feel guilty when we're like, okay, well, we're not too sure about the criminals, migrant people all pouring in, of course, because before that, everything was fine when just people were coming in, immigrating in legally, taking their place in society. It was all very nice. And there aren't that many societies that are built like that, where that's a nice thing. Like I lived in China, it wasn't so easy to blend into Chinese society. You weren't just welcomed, you were like an oddity. And they're very closed in their cliques. Obviously, everything is opening up because they've had loads of white people going over there. Because that's what we do. We bring this energy of freedom and opening up and connection. That's our culture. So I just wanted to speak out on that because I get a little tired of hearing anything negative about any group of people. I will stand up for anyone. At the moment, we are the underdogs. We seem to be under attack, so I'm standing up for us. So there you go. So you can share my views if you enjoyed my channel and my episode today. And thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you all. Thank you, all the freedom fighters from every background that rallies against the tyranny of the minions, because we will be victorious. And I'll have to do another show soon about my views on the Star Ancestors. Or do I have time now about the Star Ancestors? Yeah, no, I'm just going to go into it because I'm on a roll here. So the Star Ancestors, I really feel like the time is going to be coming where we're going to meet them. And I think in a way that's why they've done a few of these fake UFO sightings, the man-made UFOs or the minion ones recently, because that's not the Star Ancestors. The Star Ancestors are not going to appear over the White House and say hi that way, because the Star Ancestors are going to come through people that they trust, because it's going to be a big moment for them, and they're not going to choose. This is why me and Starfire have been working with them and quite in contact with them, because they only work with people who they know they can trust, people that they know stand for truth, honesty, integrity, don't want to lie, don't get involved with corrupted things. Oh, they've told me their word for it is the incorruptible souls. Actually, they like to work. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It just means when the chips are down and when no one's watching, you will always do the right thing, or you are always true to your word and you are trustworthy. And this is something I've tried to teach on my The Way of the Wizard, the being true to your word and how important that is, especially in a world full of lies, right? We've just been swimming in lies for so long, and that's part of the problem of why we're here. So because the lies are part of the problem, the Star Ancestors are never going to allow themselves to be known through anything that is connected to lies, people who are deceptive, people with a history of lying. They're not going to want to make contact that way. So I've recently heard from a hubby who likes to follow Cliff High. I haven't listened to that show, but he told me he's saying similar things, because I always tell my hubby what I'm thinking about. He said that Cliff High reckons they might turn up at a sporting event and say hello that way. But my intuition, personally, I feel they're going to, first of all, make themselves known to a group of select people, humans that they trust, and contact them. And then I think, this is just a feeling I have, that they will, I don't know if this is true. Again, I just share things. I don't consider myself to be a psychic. I consider myself to be an intuitive and someone that can sometimes have telepathic communications with other beings, not channeling, just putting myself in protection, connecting, and then answer, talking to, I say, are you there, Star Ancestors? And they will say, yes, we're here. And then I ask them questions. And I think they might take over all the streaming and TV. It's just one thought I had, streaming and TV, because what better way to talk to people, and maybe using other humans as well to talk to them while they're taking over the TVs. It could be they turn up at big sporting events, but I don't really know how they're going to really talk to people that way in the middle of a sporting event. But if they were to take over all the TV networks, which I'm sure they could, they could take them over for a whole day and start giving you all the lowdown. I mean, everyone's stuck on their screens. Why wouldn't they come through that? That's my feeling. Why wouldn't they use that as a modality to contact people through, rather than turning up at a sports game and ruining the football for everyone. I mean, people on a train, they're looking at the screen. People at work, they're looking at a screen. You know, when you get home, you're looking at your screen. So my money's on that. I don't know. Again, take it or leave it. I just share my thoughts, maybe to confirm something you're thinking. Maybe you think something different completely. And I guess we'll see who's right in the end. It's not really about being right for me, though. It's just about having a bit of fun and trying to figure things out. Because, you know, like when you feel something's brewing, I don't know if you're like me, but I like to test my intuitive energies and see if I can sense what's coming, almost as a way of just testing myself, I guess, to see what I come up with. So I do really feel like the star ancestors are on their way. And I do feel like they're only going to be interested into talking to honest people that they trust. I don't think they're going to go and knock on number 10 Downing Street and ask Mr. Keir Starmer to speak on their behalf. Why would they ask him? You know, I don't trust it. I wouldn't trust him to babysit my child. Why would they trust him to give us that information? Not especially not when they've been working with the dodgy side, you know, the minion group. I don't see it going that way. They're going to contact, you know, people they've had contact with in the past. Maybe some of the tribal people who still remember will get direct contact because they will still trust them. Ones that have stuck to the old ways and have not flipped into the minion energy, they will be contacted. And then for everyone else, all the modern world zombies will be probably contacted via the screen. Maybe Pigtail Girl will be there helping with the interview. I'm always like, yeah, you can come round. I said as a joke to Starfire, oh, I've invited them round for tea, and she actually mentioned to me that they might be rather partial to hot chocolate, and perhaps I should offer them hot chocolate instead. And so, just a note to anyone out there: get some hot chocolate stored in the cupboard in case you get a little knock at your door, and some little star ancestors are there saying hi and can they come in. So, my dears, 2025 looks like it's going to be action-packed. Yeah, I do personally get the feeling that this is imminent. I feel like we're at a crunch munch moment. It's like the lunch crunch munch moment has arrived because it's a crunch moment on planet Earth. The timeline is being rebooted. The nukes are going off. It's highly unstable. And the star ancestors didn't get involved too much in the past because they were biding their time and trying to figure out a way to end the war with them and the Volshadei, the Elohim, Anunnaki, also known Volshadei. They've been trying to what I was shown, I'm just going to tell you, because some of this stuff I don't put out there, because I don't like to disempower people by having them hang on my every word. You know, I'm really not about that. I'm about you being empowered, what you think. But I'm just going to tell you some little vision thing I had the other day when I was meditating on it. I was shown how the victory is occurring is what they showed me was like a metallic heart. And they said this is the heart of their operation. And I don't know if it was symbolic or if it meant an actual source of power. And they were rendering it disabled. They were either taking it or destroying it. And they were telling me it was the heart of their operations. And without it, they would be powerless. And the fact they used the word powerless, it made me think it has something to do with a source of energy, perhaps, that they use in their ships, in their weapons. I'm unsure. I'm unclear whether it's symbolic or literal. So I saw the victory coming by the removal of this heart of their power, heart of their operation. And this was leading to them being powerless. So they would have to be defeated in this war against the star ancestors, who don't just like to just slaughter everyone and kill everyone, unlike the Volshadei. They don't, they'd rather render someone obsolete and then escort them safely away so they can't do any more harm, leave them somewhere on another planet and see if they can get rescued or somehow fix their ships. Because apparently their ships aren't capable, the Volshadei, of leaving the solar system. So they were kind of marooned here because the star ancestors have far more advanced technology and didn't lose as much of their technology in the wars as the Volshadei, which is one of the reasons they've been trying to get humans going with the science and seeding the knowledge through their secret societies like the Vril or whatever with the Nazi, trying to get humans to build stuff because they actually need stuff because the war left them with a lot of damage. The initial war, when they initially inserted themselves in, took a lot of their energy because there was a great deal of defense going on here. But again, the star ancestors aren't willing to destroy a planet to save the planet. They would rather let the planet go for a while, see what happens, and then when the timing is right, try to deal with it once again. So that's kind of what's been going on here. If you wondered why everyone sort of went underground, that's why. It wasn't like the Volashadei were just all powerful, had this amazing technology left. No, they needed us. They needed to get us under their control because they needed to control us and control the direction of our empires so they could harvest all of our knowledge and get us finally to be scientific enough to build for them things that they would need, weapons, UFOs, tools, so they could get out of the solar system again if they wanted to. So this is basically what's been going on as far as I'm concerned. You can be concerned in your in your own reality the way you wish to see it. I'm just sharing in case it helps confirm something for you if you're interested in it. So this is how I see the victory coming, and I have been told it's imminent. Imminent to me, it means very soon. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I mean, I'm getting a feeling for February. I've told you I feel February, March 2025 is a big moment. But of course, the victory and then how long it takes for the Star Ancestors to prepare the way for them to make contacts is, again, think of all the dogma people are under on this planet. Think how many people would be terrified or untrusting of the Star Ancestors once they approach. They're going to have a pretty good ball game, people they can really trust, so that when people hear them talking, because you're so honest and truthful, people will feel that vibe from the humans that they're contacting with. That's why they have to set the vibe from the get-go. Like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. And they're going to have to be very smart and give us a lot of evidence and information, which is why I think the screens will be taken under their control, because this is how they're going to share information with us. They're not going to beam it into our brains, because that would probably scare the living bejesus out of people. They're going to put it in a format humans can digest. I'm just saying, my money's on screen. 100 on screen, guys. So I will love you guys and leave you, and I will see you on the next episode of The Pursuit of Happiness. One love.